This week I'm driving the Chevrolet Colorado Zr2 Bison. So this week, Colorado Zr2 Bison. So what's exactly a Zr2 Bison? So first of all, this one's a Colorado with the Zr2 off-road package. So this truck is more capable. It's 2 inches higher and 3.5 inches wider than a normal Colorado. You get also a front and rear locking differential, and you get a spatial suspension with the Zr2 package. With the Bison, you get the next level in off-roading. The Bison, it's a collaboration between Chevrolet and AEV Conversion. AEV Conversion, it's a company based in Michigan. They specialize in really hardcore off-roading, so they take really capable vehicles like the Jeep, the Ram, Power Wagon, the Colorado, and they bring it to the next level. So style-wise, with the Zr2, you've got a spatial hood, spatial grille, but when you step up to the Bison, you've got that really nice bumper in the front, so it's a more rugged bumper, ready to get some hardcore off-roading. You can put a winch inside of this bumper. It's ready to get a winch underneath the Bison. You've got skid plates made with boron steel, so it protects pretty much everything underneath that truck with that boron steel. Boron steel is used usually in a frame of truck. It's really rare you're gonna see aftermarket parts built with boron steel, so it's a really durable steel, so you protect your underneath your engine, your transmission, your fuel tank. Everything is protected underneath that Bison. One of the key features of this Zr2 and also the Bison, both have the same suspension. You've got this really awesome Multimatic suspension. This suspension is pretty unique to the Zr2. And also you can find mostly these type of suspension in motorsport. You can find it on Camaro, Z28, Aston Martin. It's the first off-road application for this type of suspension. Multimatics is a company based in Ontario. They usually work in motorsport and sports cars, but they're doing some off-road application with Chevrolet. And just to give you a kind of like an idea of who is Multimatics, they're the one building the Ford GT. If we take a look at the tires, you can find those Goodyear Duratrax. Those are 31 inch, pretty good tire, really aggressive too. It's made for this truck. If we look at the wheels, you got those unique wheels from AEV. I really dig that look for those wheels. They're really an off-road type of wheels, really good looking. Here you can see those fender flare, so it makes the truck wider, more off-road. Those are really molded to the body of the Colorado. If we take a look at these sidebars on the truck, these are not side step, but they're actually to slide on rocks while doing some off-roading. Again, more protection for your Zr2 Bison. If we step in the back, again, you can see those molded fender flare matching that fuel door and all that. I think it's a really nice touch design wise. Here you got your sticker saying it's a Zr2 Bison. Again, just like the side bars, the rear bumper is really to protect the rear end of your truck. So if you do some hardcore off-roading, again, backing up, or you're really in an inclined situation, sometimes you can damage that rear bumper, but it's not the case with that AEV bumper. Finally, we've got that really nice bumper again from AEV with those rescue hooks. Really practical in off-roading situation. Again, it gives that rugged look to the Zr2 Bison, and you've got that official badge from AEV saying this Colorado is built with AEV Conversion team. If we step inside of the Zr2 Bison, some little touch different from other edition. You've got those matte, those are from AAV, they're molded, they're all-weather matte. You've got also those seats with some embroidery saying it's AAV model. Really nice touch inside. Overall inside it's a Colorado. It's the typical look. Other than these AAV you know, seats and mats, the rest is pretty much a normal fully equipped Colorado. The Colorado has been the same inside for a few years now, so nothing really special inside of the cabin. Behind the wheel of the Chevrolet Colorado Zr2 Bison. You know, it's been almost 2 years I want to drive a Zr2. Finally, I got my hands on a Zr2 Bison. And first of all, you know, it's a Colorado. So speaking of price, you know, the Colorado starts around, you know, 26, 27,000. Zr2 models start around 50,000. And the one I'm driving, you know, this week, it's about 60,000. But even at 60,000, this truck is not fully loaded. Even if it's a mid-sized truck, you know, there's a few things missing in this truck. There's not the diesel under hood, that's an option. And also there's no navigation in this truck. So a couple more options, probably you can bring up the Zr2 Bison upward to 65,000. So a pretty expensive truck for the size of it. Is it worth it? It's a good question. You know, you really need to love the size of truck. From my point of view, this week, you know, it's because, you know, I've been waiting for so long to drive one. You know, I was putting the Zr2 way up there. I was looking at all the reviews online and all that, and everyone was like, wow, this truck is so fantastic, to see this and that. And you know, I'm a previous Raptor owner. I own a Raptor for several years. I drove Gen 1s and Gen 2 Raptors. I really dig the way the Raptors feels and handle and all that. They're amazing, you know, in the rough roads and off-roading, on highway, in just normal driving. On the highway, they're really smooth, they're really comfortable. The way those Fox shock suspension really works, it's just really great in any situation. And this is really what I was expecting, you know, looking forward to drive this Zr2, and it's not the case. You know, I was expecting something similar to the Raptor, but you know, more in a smaller package, I could say. But the ride is that the shocks are amazing on this truck. Nothing's wrong with the shocks, but overall, you know, from my point of view, the ride is really stiff, really rough. On a daily basis, if you don't do any off-roading, if you're just going to work or going on a road trip to go do some, you know, whatever you do, some kind of activities, the ride is rough. I was not expecting this. On a daily basis, it's a little bit too rough for my taste. And I know, you know, I'm used to bigger truck. I get really, you know, hard with those mid-sized truck. And especially this week, I'm reviewing a Ram at the same time. So I spend a lot of time also in the Ram. And just comfort-wise, there's such a huge difference ride-wise and all that. So I could say, you know, I'm a little bit disappointed for the ride of this Zr2. So like we already talked earlier, the Bison package gives you a lot of parts for the money. And this package is around $7,475. You know, for some of you it may sound kind of expensive, but if you you are really serious about off-roading, and you put some parts on your truck, and you've seen a big difference between a quality part and also a cheaper part, especially if you live here in Canada. Most of the truck parts are not really made for the harsh condition of Canada. So sometimes when you put those aftermarket bumpers and side steps and whatever you want to put on your truck, sometimes these parts are not made for the winter, and they corrode really easily, and you get that rust coming out really quickly. That thing happened on my Raptor. I put some aftermarket bumpers on my Raptor previously, and after only one winter, I had rust all over my bumper. So quality parts is key, and these kind of parts from AEV are top quality. They're one of the best, guys who build off-road trucks in the market, and there's nothing wrong. If you want to try to rebuild something like the Zr2 Bison, and you try just to go aftermarket, just in parts and installation and no warranties, this thing is worth at least $7,000 like that they're asking for. Probably if you go aftermarket, it's gonna cost you way much more than 10,000 grand to install all of this and buy good quality parts like these ones on the Bison. If we look at the engine, the one I'm driving today is the V6 gasoline engine, a 3.6 liter. It's a fun little V6 to drive in this truck. It's pretty hard on fuel. I'm averaging around 16-17 liter per 100 kilometers in a mid-size truck. Again, I've been reviewing half-ton trucks with diesel lately. I was always doing under 10 liters per 100 kilometers. For me, even if it's an off-road truck, I know you can lock the differential and all of that. For me, these kind of fuel economy numbers are not acceptable, especially in that size of truck. So even if this V6 is kind of fun to drive, you get a little bit more punch, I would consider the diesel over the V6. Even if the diesel is more expensive, you're gonna save a ton of money on fuel and you get more torque. So for me, my engine of choice for the Zr2 would be the diesel Duramax. So driving the Zr2 Bison overall, it's kind of fun, it's still got some good handling with that suspension. It's not like a lifted truck. Even it's a little bit higher and wider, you don't feel like in a lifted Colorado, I could say. You don't get that that ride I was looking for, that Raptor ride. And I know a lot of you guys are like, you're not able to compare Raptor with a Zr2, but it's really what I was looking for to really find the same thing in the smaller package. And I've been driving a lot of mid-sized little truck lately, the Gladiator and also the Ranger. I could say the Ranger has a better ride, obviously, overall. Just using the Ranger every day, if you're going to work or doing anything, even in rougher road, the ride overall in the Ranger with the FX4 suspension had a better ride. It was more comfortable. I'm not saying it's more capable, it's just the ride comfort overall was a little bit better from my point of view in the Ranger. In the Gladiator, inside of it, you get a little bit more space in the back. This one's kind of tight in the back. Obviously, these kind of mid-sized trucks are a little bit too small from my point of view. You really need to like this package, the smaller truck, less wide, a little bit less longer too. For me, it's just, I don't see the point to buy a mid-sized truck, and that's probably why they disappeared before. But for normal folks who are not used to trucks and they don't like bigger trucks, it's too big in the city and also to park at the grocery store, it's perfect for them. I really understand that, but once you taste a half-ton truck and you spend a lot of time with them, it's hard to go smaller than half-ton when you're used to those trucks. one thing I really appreciate about this truck, it's how simple it is. You know, you still have a key, you know, to turn on the ignitions, all the buttons, everything is super simple. Kind of old school, I could say, you know, if you compare it again with the latest truck, this, you know, this little Colorado looks kind of outdated inside. But still, you know, if you're a true off-road enthusiast and you need all those functions of the Bison, the locking differential and all the capacities this ZR2 offer, you will really dig that simplicity. You don't need all the electronics, you don't need all the gadgets and all that. And in some way, I really like this, you know. This little ZR2 is the perfect truck for a zombie apocalypse. You know, it's simple. There's not a ton of electronics in it. It's still a lot of things of mechanical. So, you know, it'll probably be a good choice, you know, to smash those zombies, especially with all those Baron plates underneath. You get protected all over with good steel bumpers. It's a good truck for that. So overall, is it worth it to buy a ZR2 Bison? You know, first, this truck is pretty rare. It's a good looking truck also. I like the way it stands and how rugged it is and all those EV parts. This truck looks really good from my point of view. In the long term, I think this truck is going to keep its price because the way it looks, the function of it, and how rare it is. So on that point of view, you know, I think it's worth the investment. But, you know, overall, if you don't really need that size and all those off-road capacities, you know, you can go with, you know, a half-ton truck. It was going to offer you, you know, more space, more capacities, more practical, better on fuel. Everything's going to be better. And that's always the weak point of those mid-size trucks. It's really the size of it. And if you're looking at the competition, you know, especially with the Gladiator, if you're looking at the Rubicon is probably as capable as this truck. And there's a new Jeep Gladiator Mojave, who's more like kind of like a little bit of a Raptor. It's got the Fox suspension and all that. I haven't drove this truck yet, but I'm looking forward to drive it. So you got that cool option there. Also, the Jeep, you know, you really need to love those Jeep. This one, you get a little bit more comfort, but in the Jeep, you get all the fun of removing the roof, the doors, and all that. So, you know, these little mid-size trucks for me are more about adventure and fun. And, you know, you're just by yourself with your girlfriend or you know, carrying the kids and all that. It's kind of tight, you know. I know I'm a big guy, you're not all big like me, but still, you don't have that full crew cab space you get in a half-ton truck. As you can see, I'm a half-ton truck guy or even bigger. I have a hard time every time I try those mid-size trucks. And, you know, to really close this review, you know, overall, I'm a little bit disappointed because, you know, I was looking forward so much to drive this ZR2. I was, you know, putting that ZR2 way up there in my head, and now I can put the ZR2 in a spatial place of cars. You know, I got, you know, I was expecting so much, but I was disappointed. So the ZR2 now comes in that list. In that list, you can find a Volkswagen R32 second gen. I was really disappointed with that. Lamborghini Diablo, I was super disappointed with that. A lot of cars like that, you know, I was, you know, putting them on a pit and stall, and I was disappointed. And unfortunately, the ZR2 make that list.